Well, hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, my top 10 list of the shows that Kenny likes in 2020. Well, I just want to start off this show by wishing all of you here on New Year's Day a very happy New Year. I know that 2020 has been a bit of a mess worldwide, but you know what? We're still here, and I'm glad you're here with me today, and I want to wish you all the best for 2021. Now, I know that normally Friday is an episode for woodworking, but I thought I would do something a little different today for the woodworking section and kind of do a Tuesday episode where I give you what I choose as my favorite episodes from 2020. Last year, which sounds weird saying when it was just yesterday, but last year I put out 104 episodes of the program, and that's a lot of work, and it's you have no idea how much effort it takes to put out that many shows, especially when I do have a full-time career that I work at as well outside of the show. And it's extremely difficult to take 104 shows and whittle them down to 10 that I choose as my favorite. But that's what I've done today. So without further ado, let's get into the list.
Number 10.
January 17th of 2020 brought you a program on how to make a wooden bottle opener. And it was a rather simple project made out of a chunk of walnut that kind of morphed as it went. The whole process changed from the time I started the show to the time I ended the project. The shape of the project changed, everything about it changed, but what I love about it is, number one, its simplicity, the fact that the bottle opening mechanism is just a washer screwed into a cut board, but as well, I love the final shape of the bottle opener that it came out with. This bottle opener, a year later, still gets used to this day. Now, in this day and age, we don't have too many bottles left that are still a pop top, if you know what I mean. Most of them are a twist top, but it doesn't matter. Some of the drinks that I enjoy do still have the need for a pop top, and this bottle opener is the one that gets used, and that is what brings this to number 10 on this year's list. It was just a fun project to make.
Number 9.
Well, February 28th of 2020 brought us scrolling of a hammer handle. Now, this is a project that actually I saw featured many, many years ago in a woodworking magazine, and I thought it was a brilliant idea, and it wasn't necessarily about scrolling a hammer handle. It was about scrolling objects that were of an odd or difficult shape. The reason I like this show so much, there's several reasons. One of it is it was just a fun project. There's something satisfying and relaxing about sitting down at the scroll saw, just taking your time and scrolling out some kind of pattern. It doesn't matter how big or how small, how intricate or how basic. The scroll saw has been and still is, in my opinion, one of the most, if not the most, relaxing form of woodworking that there is. There's just something about it that I love, and it lends itself to all different ages. So being able to bring you a show where you can sit down and concentrate on doing something at the saw is fantastic. The other thing that I love about this is it lends itself to the beginner scroller. Why is that? Because the hammer handle is a tough one to scroll. It is a hard scrolling. It is slow process. Slow also means that you can get more control. First you get good, then you get fast. The hammer handle doesn't allow you to get fast. So it kind of forces you to go slow and gives you the ability to take your time and really learn how to get the patience and cut those lines. The other thing I love about it is the jig that was made during the show. It's usable for many other different items, not just for a hammer handle. Just because it was sized for the hammer handle, it could be used for anything that you wanted to scroll that's an odd shape. As long as you can clamp it in that jig, you can scroll it. And finally, what it gave me is a pretty darn cool decoration for the wall of my shed or my shop. You guys don't get to see it very often because it lives in beside my bandsaw, but it is there. It has been there since the day I aired the show. And for all of those reasons, that's why it ends up at number 9.
Number 8.
March 31st brought us it was an experimental project is what it was. You guys know I love to dabble in resins and I like to kind of push the envelope and try different things. And it brought us the Right-On Wipe-Off board, or as some people call it, a whiteboard. Guys, this made the list at number 8. It made the list, period, because it's an awesome project. I have never used a whiteboard in the shop, and I wanted to make my own, and the resins added to the melamine to be able to make a product that was durable and reusable, and it's just awesome. I initially wanted it to use to write measurements on and scribble notes on, and I actually found it more useful to place different program ideas on. So it's a list of show ideas on that board that I filmed during the weekends. It's not the initial intent that I had for it, but the board still gets used, and it gets used daily when I'm in the shop. And that's what makes it awesome. It's something we take for granted. I don't need a load of paper, so I'm keeping stuff out of the landfill or out of the recycling, and I have a reusable board that, you know what, I get a lot of use out of it, and I absolutely love it. This is a project that was worthwhile making. I would do it again in a heartbeat because it's so worthwhile, and that is what makes the whiteboard end up here on the best shows of 2020.
Number 7.
April 24th brought us a 2-part series, which was making a children's folding rocking chair. Guys, I used to make these chairs years and years ago. It's kind of how I funded buying new tools. And what I would do is I would make small projects like this chair, and I would sell them at things like church bazaars and yard sales and that sort of thing. I would sell them for $20 a piece, and the profit money that I made from those chairs, I was able to buy new tools for the shop. So it was kind of nostalgic for me to step back and make one of these. I made it for my granddaughter, but it was kind of like a nostalgia thing where I could step back and almost relive making those. They're a fun project to make. They're just an enjoyable, easy, fun project. They're functional. They look great. They look so impressive, and it looks like you spent 1,000,000 hours making it, but really, it's a pretty fast build. And if you wanted to make them for sale, they're easily producible by making templates. You can pound off like 5 to 10 of these in a day. They are just a fun, wonderful project. One of the things that I really enjoyed was the fact that I offered my templates to you guys out there. I had so many people, and still to this day I have people contact me about it. I've had so many people from the viewers of the show that have sent me emails or Facebook messages requesting the pattern, and I've sent it to each and every one of you, and I hope you've all made your own versions. And I think between the nostalgic version of it, of getting back to what I used to do and making another one, and sharing it with my viewers and being able to have you people make what I used to make, I think that's what made the whole thing just so enjoyable for me, and that's what brought it here on the list of the best shows of 2020.
Number 6.
Well, May 5th brought us a viewer request show, another 2-part series, And what it was my scale model feature build. I build in between the show episodes and the filming. I like to build scale models. Some from plans, some without, some a combination of both my own ideas and the ideas from the plans. And people were asking to see the other models that I made. So I did this feature program. Much like the rocking chair episode, one of the most, I guess, satisfying aspects of the show was the ability to share something with you guys that you don't normally see on the show or you don't normally see me do. And it was just a blast to go back and go through all of those models and look at the hours that it took. And it may sound a little sappy, but it brings back some great memories. A lot of those models I had just a great time with. Some of them frustrated the heck out of me, but I still stuck with it and loved every minute of it, even with the frustration. It's kind of just one of those things that you can't understand. And I hope that those shows inspired some of you to try to make some of these models for yourself, because honestly, they are just, when you finish one, there is no other level of self-satisfaction that you can reach when it comes to woodworking. When you look at that model and you just shake your head and say, wow, that looks great, and I made it. And that's one of the reasons that I love this show so much, or this series, is because I get to bring it to you. It inspired some of you to try your own. You guys have sent me some of those photos and they're gorgeous. And once again, it's the interaction between me and the audience that I love. Getting those emails, getting the photos, getting the Facebook messages, and being able to show you the models that I've made in return. It's a great show, and I had fun with every one of it, and I want to thank all of you guys for sending your photos in. And basically, that's what made it so that it made the list.
Number 5.
Another two-part series was brought to you on June the 12th of last year, and it was all about the end grain cutting board. Now, I've done several end grain cutting board tutorials here on the show. I did just a normal one with some block patterns. I did another one that looks like a brick wall. But this one last year brought you the tumbling block 3D end grain cutting board. And just a ton of work, just a ton of thought processes, and it's a little more technical, and you've got to be careful with your angles and that sort of thing. But above all, it's just a load of fun. Making cutting boards is one of the things that I truly love to do. It's a cutting board, but honestly, they're fun projects, just the way they all come together. And when you add the cutting board coating mixture that I showed you how to make here on the show, like, it all just comes alive. And you've made something functional, and not just functional, but you've made it that it will last. Well, it's going to outlast you as long as it's taken care of. But it was just a great series. And again, it had inspired some of you to make your own and to give it a try. And some of you have sent your pictures of these cutting boards, and they're gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous. They put mine to shame, some of them. And that's what I love to see. I love to see what you do with the project that I show you to make. So I give you the concept and the way that I do it, and some of you guys take that and you run with it and you do your own thing, and I love seeing it. And that series is one that I've wanted to do. It's been on my list for a very long time. I'm glad that I did it. I would make more of these boards in a heartbeat because they're just so fun to make. And the series was a success. You know what, guys? What more can I say? It was just a great project, a great show. It was just a ton of fun. And you know what? It deserves to be on the list. Without a doubt, it deserves to be on the list.
Number 4.
August 11th started a 4-part series. And oh my goodness, what a ton of work. What a ton of thought processes. And honestly, it has to be one of the more challenging things that I've made on the show, and that was the Apache helicopter build. Guys, I've shown you the models before, as I spoke of earlier in the feature program, the 2-part series. But this 4-part series, although it did not show every single aspect of the helicopter build, what it did show you was some of the more difficult pieces and how to put them together and how to go through the process of making them for yourself. It really was one of those projects, again, one that I'd wanted to do for a very long time, but it was one of those projects where, you know what, I put it out there and I kind of worried that this was going to bore people because I'm not really teaching you to do anything. I'm showing you methods that I take in order to make this model, but you guys couldn't go through the show and make your own helicopter without the plans. So what have I provided you? I provided you with, look at what I'm doing kind of a thing. And I worried that it wouldn't be received very well. But then the response to this series was overwhelming. There were so many of you that loved it and enjoyed it and made comments, and I thank you so much for that. Really, if you haven't tried making one of these models, you really need to do it. As I said earlier, this Apache attack helicopter was a challenging build, but what a rewarding one. It's just a gorgeous end product, and you know what? Just the enjoyment of the show and being able to bring you that 4-part series, it made the list for that alone because, as I said earlier, there's something satisfying about making these models, and this one was over the top. So that's why it's here today, and you know what? That's why it's worth suggesting.
Number 3.
September 25th was the day, and that was the day that I brought you guys none other than the Workbench plan stand. It's spectacular. I don't know if I could say any more good things about this. For somebody like me who works on a YouTube channel like the way I do, and I have so many things that I'm referencing all at one point in time, I like to have my bench space clear. And this plan stand is just awesome. It holds all my notes that I'm working from up on the plan stand out of my way. If I'm working from a magazine or from a printout or from an article, it sits on the plan stand. It's just one of those projects that I made it for the show hoping that I would get some good use out of it, and I'm blown away by the amount of use that I've actually got. It is a daily thing in the shop that I use this. It is just as useful, and I love it just as much as the whiteboard. It is just a fantastic, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just fantastic. Everything about it is absolutely awesome. So it made the list simply because I just love the project. It's just great. How many more times can I say it? It's an awesome project. There, I said it again.
Number 2.
December 4th, it brought a 2-part series on making a garden lighthouse. I made this because I've wanted to make one for a while, and there were several things that stopped me. Number one, I wasn't sure about what design I wanted. I wasn't sure how to do certain things as far as how did I want to do the windows or the door, or how did I want to do the light. The light was a big one that kind of threw me back. But the other thing that kind of threw me back is I needed a taper jig. So that, of course, spawned the pre-show of the series of making a simple tapering jig for the table saw. And then that morphed into finally getting my butt in gear and making my lighthouse. If there's one thing I don't like about projects, it's painting. I don't like finishing them. I don't like putting a finish on products, and I don't like painting. It's just not enjoyable for me. I do it, but I don't necessarily like it. I'm the guy that likes to do the work, and I prefer to let someone else do the finishing. Nobody else is going to do the finishing for me, so I do it myself. So I guess that was another reason that this project got put off so much. But I finally got my butt in gear and got it made and got it painted. And what the heck was I procrastinating for? Because I'm so happy with the results. I love the way it lights up during the day. I love everything about it, the way it sits in the garden, and during the day it charges, and then at night it just gives a nice soft glow there at the front. It doesn't bother anybody. It's not bright enough for that. But it's one of those projects that every time I look at it, it makes me smile. It reminds me of my East Coast heritage. It reminds me of all the time I've spent on the East Coast. And, you know, it just makes me happy. And something that makes us happy, especially in a year like 2020, how can you not have it on a list? It has to be there. If it makes you happy in a messed up year like we've had for 2020, then it belongs here.
Number 1.
Well, here we are. Number 1. So, what was Kenny's absolute favorite show of 2020? Honestly, hands down, bar none. 6-part series on making a ship in a bottle. Of all the projects and all the shows that I put out of all 104 episodes that I put out in 2020, that ship in a bottle was the most fun. It was the most satisfying. The finished product sits on my desk, up on the shelf there, and every day I look at that, I'm just amazed by it. I just love it. Is the boat perfect? No, it's not. Are the sails perfect? No, they're not. Are the railings perfect? No, they're not. Is anything perfect about it? Yeah, I like it, and that's what makes it perfect. There were so many processes with that project, between making the ocean, pouring the resin, dyeing the resin, then the silicone, carving the boat. There was the scroll saw, there was sanders, there was jeweler's drills, there was tiny little dowels, there was rigging involved, there was a thought process. The whole thing. I even dyed paper with coffee, for crying out loud. The entire project had satisfaction screaming from it from episode 1 to episode 6. It is, I loved it. And I will be making more ships in a bottle. Whether or not I produce them here on the show is yet to be seen. But will I be making more? I will. The one thing that I really loved about this series, and it's what makes it number 1 here, aside from my enjoyment of the whole project, the thing that made it number 1 is the fact that it took you through every step and every process of making a ship in a bottle. Everything from choosing your bottle to designing your ship to how to carve it, how to measure, how to fit it in, how to collapse the sails, how to make the sails, how to do the ocean, everything. How to make a stand for it. It took you through every process, and as long as you have some patience and sit through a 6-part series, there's no reason that you can't make your own ship in a bottle and get the same satisfaction from it that what I get from mine. And because of that, it's there at number 1. Because it pleases me and because it has so much potential to please you. And there you have it. Kenny's top 10 shows of 2020. Guys, as I've said, 2020 was just a nightmare year. We all know why. The darn pandemic going through, closing things down, people getting sick. What a horrible year. And I am very fortunate that I have an opportunity with this show that in all of that mess of 2020, I can hopefully provide some of you with a release, with an escape, with a way for 20 to 30 minutes, to sit back and get away from all that crap and enjoy the program, hopefully. To enjoy seeing processes, to enjoy seeing jigs made, projects made, that sort of thing. It has been just a load of fun this year. I've had a blast with it. You guys have no idea how much satisfaction I get out of this show. It's not all about look at what I did, but I do enjoy teaching woodworking, and I do enjoy showing people how to do things. Some people say I talk too much. Suck it up, Buttercup. That's what Kenny does. And that's the way I teach. I teach by explaining. Do I talk too much? Yeah, I pretty much do. But you know what? It's my show, and if I want to talk, I'm going to talk. That's all there is to it. What was your favorite show of 2020, guys? Let me know down below. Do you agree with my list? Do you agree with the ones that I like? Were some of them iffy? What do you think? Shoot me some comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you haven't already, guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Click that bell so that you don't miss the notifications of future episodes of the show. It has been just a blast in 2020. I want to wish you all, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, a happy new year. All the best in 2021. Don't be shy. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know what it is that you guys want to see. Let me know your show ideas. Let me know if there's something that you haven't seen. Maybe I already have a show about it. I can point you in the right direction, or maybe I can film a show about it. Talk to me, guys. Let's start 2021 off on the right foot, and hopefully you're going to hang in there with me and enjoy the program. Thanks for joining me, guys, and I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another woodworking video. Even though it's not really woodworking today. Happy New Year, my friends. All the best.